Hey guys, how's it hanging everybody? This is StormPow and welcome to another episode of StormPod. Today we are talking with Oceaniz. He is a YouTuber from Switzerland and he was a blast to talk to. We had a great time talking about the differences between Switzerland and the United States, which there were so many that I didn't even know about. It was absolutely crazy. And talking about his time on YouTube and a lot of other different things, some of the things that make him who he is. And it was a great time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of StormPod as much as I had fun recording it. I do want to let you guys know as well that support for this episode of StormPod is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming, because Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. So, I talked about it on one of my live streams where there was a time when I was 16 and I tried shaving my stuff down there using like a regular razor that you would use on your face, and it didn't go very well. And stories like that are why Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. So the Manscaped engineering team spent 18 freaking months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer that has ever been created and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. So that third generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. And I really truly think millions, and I mean millions of balls are about to be nick free thanks to Manscaped's advanced skin safe technology. So I tried this thing out and it really is pretty dang awesome. And I think manscaping accidents are a thing of the past. You don't have to suffer like I did back in my day. And when I tell you that this thing is premium, I really mean premium. So the battery lasts up to 90 minutes, so you can have a longer shave. And I don't know about you guys, but I've never had a below the belt shave that took 90 minutes. So I think we're good on battery life. And one of the coolest features is actually the LED light that illuminates the grooming area for a closer and more precise trimming. So, you know, if your lighting's not that great, or if you just need to get a little bit of a better view of what you're doing here, they've got you covered. And they went ahead and also upgraded to a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology. And we cannot forget about the awesome charging stand. So you can show off the product, sit it on your counter, and just conveniently mount it there with that intelligently designed stand. It has rapid charging and it's powered by USB. Now, the best part about the situation that you're in right now is that if you are listening to me speak these words out of my mouth and directly into your ears right now, you are one of the first people to hear about this life-changing product. And I love mine a lot. I really do. And I want you guys to experience it firsthand for yourself as well. Go trim that junk ears, please. I'm begging of you. Don't let it stay there any longer. So go ahead and get 20% off plus free shipping using code POW20 at manscaped.com. There's also a link for this in the description. Your balls will thank you. So again, please go ahead and get 20% off and free shipping with the code POW20 at manscaped.com. Again, that is 20 freaking percent off plus free shipping at manscaped.com using code POW20. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to me here, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode of StormPod with Oceaniz. And as always, guys, if you want an even better podcast experience, you gotta go to my Twitch live stream at twitch.tv/thestormpow. We live stream these episodes every single week, and you get to interact with myself and the guest live before and after the show. Plus, you get to hear it a little bit early, so it's all around a win-win. Go check out twitch.tv/thestormpow. So
I don't really have anything to do early in the morning.
Word.
Help my dad haul some beer canisters, and that's kind of it.
Does he do that for like a living, or is he just like a beer enthusiast?
No, actually, because that's actually kind of a funny story. So the high school I used to go to is actually a monastery, or it used to be a monastery. It's like an historical site.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been used for two purposes. One is to make a high school, which is where moi went to. And the other one is to make a brewery. And they make some bomb-ass beer there. And I've been recommending my dad to have one of those for ages. And so I think on Wednesday he called me up and he's like, okay, fucker, we're going to go and buy like a canister of that beer. And you're going to prove to me that it's good. And I'm like, oh, okay, big man. So, yeah, that's what we're doing tomorrow.
Okay, well, that sounds like a hell of a day, but what's your favorite kind of beer?
That beer, actually.
Nice.
It's called Stella Maris, and it's a craft beer with a dash of honey in it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really different from any type of beer I've had. But then again, I mean, beer is also very different in
Mm.
America, so I don't even know how to compare it.
I was about to say, like, I wonder. I'm sure that there's some hipster craft beer place that I could find that at or something here, like, because around where I live in like Nashville, Tennessee, there's all kinds of like craft beer. You know, everybody. I'm sure that there's some place that like boasts, you know, oh, we sell the finest Switzerland imports, you know, and all that.
I mean, hey, if you keep your eyes peeled for Lagerbräu Stella Maris, you might find it. I mean, it is. I don't actually know how successful of a brand it is, but it's very
Mm-hmm.
popular around here.
Okay.
Mostly also for novelty because, you know, it's made in our town.
Right.
But
S-
yeah.
So like, does it
But
taste really strong like honey, or is it like?
no, it's very mild
Mhm.
actually. It's imagine beer if beer tasted good. Like that's the because I mean beer always kind of tastes a bit like piss water.
Hmm.
Um and Stella Maris just completely does not taste like that. It's sort of you can still taste the alcohol, but it's mildened by a dash of honey taste. It's very difficult to describe, but it's really, really good.
Okay.
One of the few beers I actually genuinely love. Because usually, you know, you go out with the lads, you have a beer, and it's like, okay, fine, you know. Not my favorite drink, but whatever. But Stella
Right.
Maris is really something I would drink for the taste.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
also, I hope you have realized that it's a very dangerous endeavor to have a bunch of high school kids having school right next to a brewery.
I did not even think of that actually. um, I I was a good kid. I was totally Dare shirt and all that, which I don't know if they have
Mhm.
Dare where you're from, or if you're familiar with that.
No clue what that is.
Okay, okay. If I ever throughout the course of this say something that is completely like you're like I have no idea what that is, yeah, just let me know
Mhm.
because I'm probably gonna do that
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot.
Don't worry.
You know.
I've been to the US twice, so I am very
Okay.
uninitiated.
Okay. But Dare is like drug abuse resistance education, and it's this thing
Ah.
they put you through it in like fifth grade, and
Hmm.
they basically they're very good at which granted you're in the fifth grade, you know what I mean? But they're very good at convincing you that you are never going to touch drugs or alcohol in your
Hmm.
entire life. and
Hmm.
there for a good hot minute going into middle school, you are on fire for like not doing drugs and alcohol and all that. And I think I didn't get out of that phase until right at about the time I was at the drinking age. But then I had catching up to do. So
Okay, wait, but your drinking age is also absurdly high, isn't it? It's like 21.
it is wait. So it's different in Switzerland?
16.
16?
Yeah,
Oh my
16
god.
for beer and 18 for everything else, and that is actually the standard across all of Europe.
How am I not knowing this already?
I'm surprised. I thought that was common knowledge that you guys are the odd ones out.
Oh, see, I thought maybe in like Germany it was 18. You
No,
know?
no, it's sick. I mean, okay, as I said, it's 18 for anything stronger than beer, but
Yeah.
beer is 16.
Holy cow. Holy
Yeah.
cow. Wow.
So, I mean, in the latter half of high school, we actually could go to that brewery and just have a drink, and it was completely fine.
That's so wild. I mean, I'm all for that. I mean, they actually just recently I don't know if this was federal like at a national level, but I know at least in my state, I believe it was federal though.
Hmm.
They made tobacco products. They raised that to 21 here,
Oh, okay.
which is wild that like tobacco, you know, went from 18 to 21, which I'm kind of mixed on. I'm kind of, you know, there's part of me that's like, okay, well, you guys should have your own choice and be able to do whatever the heck you want, you know. And then the other part of me is like, tobacco's pretty freaking evil, you know, the big tobacco
Yeah.
companies. So I'm like, I do get that they are very predatory to like get you hooked at a young age. So,
Hmm.
you know, I have mixed feelings on that. But anyway, it's so strange how like in America we have these things where like tobacco age, like we're getting more restrictive on certain things, but then also we're like, all right, let's go ahead and legalize marijuana everywhere, which again, I'm all for that too. But
Hmm.
it's so strange like how like there are totally two completely different things going on right now, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, we actually legalized marijuana just recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, by legalized, basically the state was like, okay, if you want to buy marijuana, stop buying it from weird people down the alley. We'll make our own state-funded shops
Mm-hmm.
for it and kind of solve the problem really quickly. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting how restrictive you guys are with certain things. But then stuff like the military is still 18 for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. You can, you can now, enlist in the military and risk your life, but you cannot go get a can of dip, or whatever.
Well, I suppose not everything has to make sense in the world.
Right, right. No, it's definitely confusing. So what are some other Switzerland things that myself or some other uncultured swines might not be aware of? Because now you've got me interested.
Oh boy,
All right,
settle down
I
because
got
this
I
is
got
gonna
my
be a
can of
longer one.
Lacroix. I'm ready to sit down and
Oh
enjoy.
God, is LaCroix actually good? I've only heard bad things.
So here's the thing, and I was talking about this to my fiance earlier because she saw me drinking a
Mhm.
Lacroix, and she asked me almost verbatim the same question.
Uh-huh.
I told her how initially I started drinking Lacroix as kind of a meme on my live streams. It
Mhm.
was like kind of ironic. I was like, so the thing
Uh-huh.
was, is I would buy a new brand like every week, and I would sit down on the stream and I would drink it. And I would like
Uh-huh.
write a review for this, and I would try to come up with something clever, like you hear all those things like, oh, it tastes like if you put fruit water in a condom, and I would try to come
Mhm.
up with something equally that described that flavor. But now I'm kind of like, it's not that bad.
Aw.
But so I don't know if it's like Stockholm syndrome or what exactly, but anyway.
Aw. Yeah, so Switzerland facts. Well, I suppose for starters, the military is mandatory here actually. We have the draft like
Hmm.
24/7.
Wow.
Uh if you're male and Swiss and over the age of 18, off to the army you go.
Hmm.
Uh which, is what happened to me. I'm in the army as well. I'm in civilian protection, group leading officer. Uh and it's really interesting to see how it's treated here in comparison to other countries because like here it's almost treated like a hobby, like a
Yeah.
holiday. Also because of the way it's structured. Because if you would enlist in America, how would that work for you? Would you go to serve for like 2 years and then come back?
So I've never served and I never looked a whole lot into it, so I may be a little bit wrong on this, but basically we only have the draft in cases of like dire need,
Mm-hmm.
like I want to say the last time was probably like Vietnam or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, nobody quote me on that. I'm not a history buff, but we haven't had a draft in a hot minute,
Mm-hmm.
and even then, I think we're pretty restrictive on who gets drafted. Like if you are
Mm-hmm.
the only son in your family, I believe that exempts you. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And again, nobody quote me on anything that I'm saying here. I believe this is all true. I'm about 80% sure, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and then so there's that, and like if you have certain like health problems, they won't draft you. But anyway, otherwise, you yeah, at the age of 18, you basically like go to some recruiting centers that they have, or a lot of times there will
Mm-hmm.
be recruiters that will come to like high schools and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of start recruiting people, and then you sign up and you serve. I don't know exactly how long the terms are. I want to say they're generally like 4 years or so. I mean, I don't know, but
Okay.
it just kind of varies. And then like, yeah, you may be like at home, living on a military base for a while, but then of course, you
Mm-hmm.
may have to actually go out to where we're at for a little while. So
Mm-hmm.
it's yeah, it's a little bit different
Okay.
here.
Okay, because the way it works here essentially is you enlist at 18,
Hmm.
and then essentially every year you have a couple of weeks holiday where you go and serve, and that goes on until you're 50 or 45, depending on the function.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'll have to do it till 50 because I'm in a non-combat function.
Uh huh.
So, yeah, it's basically like holidays. You get a letter and it's like, okay, so in April, you're gone 2 weeks, you're doing this, you're helping out at this operation, and show this paper to your employer, make sure he gives you paid leave, and go on your merry way.
Huh. And
Yeah.
so you may only be gone for a couple weeks at a time or something like that, or
I mean, in situations of like, because okay, so I'm for example in civilian protection.
mm-hmm.
That means that I am the person who, in cases of crisis, has to organize the protection of the civilian population. That can mean furnishing nuke bunkers. That can mean securing evacuation routes. That can even mean, storming into burning houses to get people out. I'd like to call it, firefighter with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But if like flooding were to happen or we would enter a war, then of course I would be gone for months or maybe years,
Mm-hmm.
just working. But
Right.
generally the assignments we get are very low key, very small. um Last year I spent just a couple of days being a bodyguard at a local festival. So it's definitely, because also the thing is, obviously the Swiss military does not have much to do
Yeah.
because we're not at war. We're literally one of the most peaceful countries on earth.
Mm-hmm.
We have not had a terrorist act on our soil since the 70s, with that
Oh
act
wow.
being the only one in our history. We've
Damn.
never had a shooting.
That sounds so nice.
I mean, we are a tiny country, so it's
That's
easier
true.
to keep the peace. I mean, how many people live in the town you live in?
I'm gonna Google that right now, actually. Hold
Yeah,
up.
Google it. Google
Hold
it
up.
before I tell you how many inhabitants Switzerland has.
Okay. Now, granted, I live, and this might even make your point even better. So I live in what's considered a relatively small town. But
Hmm.
anyway, in 2017, we were just a little bit under 17,000 people in the population of the town.
Okay, that's actually really small.
It is
That's
pretty
actually
small.
smaller than the town. 17,000? That's smaller than the town I live in. God damn it, you ruined my
Oh
point.
man. Now hold up. Let me this might be a little bit better for you. Let's see here. So
Hmm.
now I live near I'm in kind of the Nashville metropolitan area. So
Hmm.
let's go with that. So in the main area that I live in, like I live in kind of like an area, like basically if I'm having a conversation with somebody and I'm like they're like, "Hey, where are you from?" I'll mention the town name and they're like, "What?" And then I'll mention a couple other towns next to it and they're still like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Never mind, Nashville." But
Hmm.
anyway, Nashville in 2017 had 691,000 people.
691,000. Okay. How big is Nashville? Like, is it
Uh,
considered a big major hub
it is
of the America?
it's the capital of the state that I live in now, not for
Hmm.
necessarily the whole country, um,
Hmm.
but I think it's the biggest city in the state of Tennessee, I believe.
Okay. Because the entire population of Switzerland is 7 million people.
Oh,
That is very little.
yeah,
Your town has basically like, what is it? A 14th of
right,
our population.
yeah,
Yeah. I
wow.
have I have the I have double the amount of subscribers than people that live in my hometown.
When you put it that way, so here we go. So here is you were asking, if it was one of the biggest cities in America. So I
Hmm.
just looked up New York City population.
Hmm.
8.623 million in 2017.
There
So
you go.
there you go.
More than Switzerland.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, Switzerland is tiny and therefore we're very peaceful. Very few things happen here. The whole coronavirus thing
mhm,
now is one of the biggest scares we've had in
mhm,
decades.
I
So,
bet. Yeah,
yeah.
I listen to NPR sometimes, which again, that's just national public radio. So it's
Hmm.
basically like I subscribe to like their Apple podcast thing, and I get these little news updates
Hmm.
throughout the day, and I'll listen to it, and it's just now becoming a thing here in the U.S. A lot of
Hmm.
people like basically. My fiance's a nurse, so she's kind of talking about it a little bit and everything.
Hmm.
Um, and it is at first like she was basically like, oh, it's whatever, like people are all panicking about it, and
Hmm.
but so far like it is not cause near as much damage as the flu does, and people still don't get their damn flu shot. But now it's kind of hitting the point where it's like, I think like, 6,000-7,000 people throughout the world have died, and it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And they're starting to see cases of it spreading here in the U.S. where people have been diagnosed with it and they have not traveled recently, so they're like, okay, you got this from somebody. But
yeah, it's actually incredibly impressive because it's been able to jump continents like crazy, like it's nothing.
Well,
and I mean, like, if it popped up in China first, and then suddenly it was in Italy, and then from Italy it came up to us, and it's like, hold on a moment.
Yeah, I think that the way that America is set up economy-wise, I think they're afraid to admit that it's as much of a problem as it is, because they don't want to mess with trades and imports and all that stuff. They don't want businesses to quit bringing things in from these countries, because I know they recently started a bunch of like flight bans, like, okay, you can't fly in or out to these countries. I don't even think like South Korea and China are even on those lists. It's like all these other countries. It's like, hey, if we're gonna start doing these bans, shouldn't we kind of focus on those where it started at? But but yeah, and also, what's healthcare like in Switzerland?
Universal and free.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
So you guys got vacancy?
I mean, we are kind of struggling with overpopulation, but I have a second bed.
I see that. All right. Bet I can get a job. I'll find something to do over there. I'll.
Yeah, I mean, okay, no, wait. The job market here in Switzerland is, well, it's good, but the cost of living is insane.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we are, I think, the third most expensive place to live in.
Wow.
After Japan and Denmark, I think.
No kidding. Why is it so expensive?
Because our currency, the franc, is valued very highly, and also because just we earn a lot of money. So to compensate, a lot of the living costs are very high. Like minimum wage here is 5K. So
like 5K
a month.
A month? Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's solid. That's I mean, like 5,000 francs. I don't know how that would hold up.
A franc is almost the same as a dollar, I believe.
Holy cow. Okay, so that explains why the cost of living is pretty high then, I guess. But
yeah,
still.
yeah. I mean, okay. Here's the example I tell everyone. How much do you pay for a pizza?
Like $10, we'll say.
Yeah, try 40.
Oh, okay.
How much you pay to watch a movie in the cinemas?
$12, maybe 15.
Try 30.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's everything has its ups and downs.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then, because the reason I was asking about the healthcare is, like, I was reading this thing today where they were basically like, okay, scientists are going ahead and trying to develop a vaccine, for the coronavirus, and then they were basically like, okay, we're gonna try to make this affordable, and I'm like, yo, define affordable. Now, I mean, I've got insurance, I feel like I'll be good, but I'm just like, I feel like there's this problem where, the thing is, you can't stop any kind of contagious disease without, like, pretty much mass vaccination. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if just because, like, the people who can afford it go ahead and get, I mean, I guess, I don't know, they'll get vaccinated, they'll be all right, but it's still going to keep spreading in these other communities. It's kind of, it's wild, but
yeah, I mean, it's insane to me that, I mean, honestly, the whole healthcare situation in America is still, it boggles my mind how anyone accepts that. But, like, in general, something like that will not be contained by, half measures.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to kind of cast a wide net. And, that's also where I'm kind of like, where kind of Switzerland pooped itself recently. Because when we got our first case, the government announced that they were going to have a press conference that same day at 5. And we're all like, okay, what are they going to do? And they go on stage, they're like, oh yeah, we're kind of not going to do anything. We're going to put up posters that say wash your hands and that's it. And it's like, well,
all right.
like, boned it is then.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened here. Like I know
Hmm.
President Trump was basically like, "Don't worry, guys, it's not even that big of a deal," and we're kind of
Hmm.
like, "Okay, well, people are dying, but okay, but since you said it's no big deal, I guess that just automatically makes it no big deal, or that's what it's supposed to do, you know." Like I said,
Well, he speaks the truth.
I
Absolutely.
mean, absolutely, it's,
Yeah.
but yeah, and that's the thing about America is, we're electing a new president, or
Yes, I know. I know.
hopefully anyway, we're getting a new president
Uh-huh.
this year. But anyway, some of the candidates are talking about, universal healthcare and all that stuff, and so many people in America are like, universal healthcare won't work and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, you do know how many countries are already successfully doing
Yeah,
this?
I mean,
Like, I trust me, I'm not a risk taker. I don't want us to be the pilot for something revolutionary, but hey, we've got
mhm.
enough sample sizes right here, it it
I
can
mean, you
work.
you do have to hand it to him. I
Hmm.
mean, universal healthcare is the spawn of communism, so
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, okay, to be fair, Switzerland is somewhat socialist, but
Uh-huh.
that's not really a bad thing. But
Hmm.
oh no, I'm getting political already. And are we actually on the main show already, or is this still pre?
Oh yeah, well, this is meat and potatoes, I think.
Oh, damn. So why am I not seeing your face?
Oh, if you go and watch the live stream right now, it won't show up on the Discord where we're chatting, but if
Ah, damn. I've been missing out.
you've been missing out on this cute face. I mean,
Let me
I
let me go and
listen
see it.
here.
Wait.
I got a haircut for this podcast. I need you to
Dude,
appreciate it.
I shaved for this podcast. I know you
Really?
can't see it because I have a beard, but I like trimmed it nicely because I didn't want to look homeless.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. You don't look homeless. I
Ah, thank you.
I wish that I could do the long hair, but like I've kind of got this Vegeta looking widow's peak going on, so
Hmm.
like I feel like it would just make me look strange.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. But it's like, oh, there you are.
There we go.
Aw.
See, and
Oh,
here's
glasses
the
as well.
LaCroix. Yeah, yeah. You know.
Yeah. Ah, damn, but now the stream is actually slightly behind and my camera is slightly Oh
Oh,
God, no. I'm gonna go back to not seeing you. I'm sorry. This is messing me up.
that's fine. You got your little peep. You know what's going on. So,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly.
um
Um, what were you
so
talking about?
man, anything. But um
Anything.
so now I feel a little bit more like a member of the Switzerland army. Um,
Hmm.
so tell me a little bit more about yourself. I tell people, give me your dating profile. Like, what are you into? You know?
Oh, so I'm Oceans, also called Dennis, and I love going on adventures. No, yes, I'm Dennis Oceans, and 23, live in Switzerland. I am currently studying English literature in major and a minor in film studies and cinema. And I've been doing YouTube now for I think 2 years, 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, I like drawing and writing. And I think that's kind of where my dating profile ends, quite honestly. Like I'm not a super interesting person. I mean, uh yeah, I'm in the military, I'm an officer. Uh Even though I totally don't look it, people are always like, "Oh, can you really like command people?" I'm like, "No, but I have to." Um Yeah, that's kind of it. I studied psychology for two
Okay.
years before I got into English lit.
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
Now,
that's some stuff to dig into.
correct me if I'm wrong. Now, did you dabble with voice acting a little bit, or do you still dabble?
I did. I still would if I would find the time for it, but
Yeah.
I actually did start my online journey, this newest online journey of mine with voice acting, just because I thought it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are very few projects that I participated in that actually made it like to the finish line.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, you can find me like, especially like JoJo fan dubs and stuff like that.
Okay.
But obviously, a lot of these fan dubs and voice acting gigs obviously are offered by you lovely Americans,
Mhm.
and they obviously usually want accent-free English, which is kind of difficult to provide when you have this many languages, fighting for
Mm-hmm.
dominance.
Yeah.
So. Oh,
Gotcha.
that's another thing. I speak a few languages. That's also part of my profile, I guess.
Which ones?
Um, from best to worst, English, German, Italian, Turkish, French, and Spanish.
Oh my God. And is that just like, is that because of the military or did you just do that for funsies?
So the thing about fun Switzerland fact number two, Switzerland has four national languages,
Oh.
and you have to learn two at least. That's how I got the French.
Uh-huh.
Um, German is because I live in the German-speaking part of Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Italian is because my dad is Italian. And the Turkish because my mother is Turkish. English because it's English. Everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
And Spanish because it was an elective at school. And that's kind of, how I got this repertoire.
Man, I was I was literally booking my flight to Switzerland right now, but I don't think I can move there. I don't know that I could learn all those languages this late
Well, I
in
mean,
life.
you're an adult. You're an adult man. You don't need to learn them anymore.
Oh,
It's mostly
okay.
in school. I mean, okay, if you only speak English, you might have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, but yeah, I suppose that's another thing I have to warn you about. People are kind of not friendly to foreigners here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got your tight-knit
Um,
community.
it's not even that. I've been born in Switzerland. I was called slurs all throughout my life.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's also the thing, right? If you're born in the US, you immediately become a citizen, right?
Yes, yeah, whether your
Yeah.
parents were, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, not the case here.
Oh.
I became Swiss out of my own accord when I did the exams and like the trials to become a Swiss.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, actually, that's another fun story. Um, so my nationalities, as I was born as, were Turkish and Italian, and Italy does not have a mandatory military,
Mm-hmm.
so that was never an issue. But Turkey has a mandatory military service. So when I turned 18, I got a letter from the Turkish consulate saying, "Oh, you're 18 now. Come to Turkey so you can serve our country."
Mm-hmm.
Now that was right around the time Turkey decided to enter combat with ISIS. So I'm sitting here,
Yeah.
miles away from this country I have very little emotional attachment to, with the prospect of going into the desert and fighting terrorists. And I'm like, yeah, not a fan of
Not
that.
how I wanted to spend my summer.
Yeah, exactly, or a few summers. Um, and so the thing is, the international law regarding military services for multiple nationalities is that any country that has a mandatory draft or military service takes precedence.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't just say, "Oh no, I'm Italian. I'm just taking the Italian side." But the loophole in that is that, well, it's not a loophole, it's an intended um, aspect of it, is that if you have multiple nationalities that have all mandatory service, you get to choose which one you serve, and then you're excluded from the other one.
Hmm.
So I went and became a Swiss and served the Swiss military because then, I'm bodyguarding sports festivals and not fighting ISIS in the desert.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds a
Yeah,
lot.
so yeah, I mean, it also made sense to
Mm-hmm.
become Swiss after 18 years of living here. I mean, I didn't count it earlier among my languages, but my actual most comfortable language is Swiss German, which is just,
Oh.
a different type of German.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, the exams themselves were also trivial. It was just learning some Switzerland facts by heart, which is also why I can bang them out like nothing here.
Yeah.
So,
Huh. Okay. And going back, we talked about this real briefly. I think it was before we really started filming and everything. So, you did say that you had a couple of attempts at your YouTube career, and then
yes.
and then you kind of touched on
Yes.
it real quick. You said you started like 2.5 years ago. So,
Hmm.
I am now pretty interested in that because when I was looking at your page, I was like, this little shit, he started like a year and a half ago and he is just blowing up. I was like, how did he do that? But I mean, it makes a little bit more sense. But so yeah, what were your other attempts there like?
Okay. So when I was 11 and YouTube was a completely different place,
Mm-hmm.
I first tried making like skit comedy in German, and it was atrocious. And I lost the password to that account, so I can't delete them. So anyone crazy enough could technically still find them. I don't advise it. It's just embarrassing. Um, and that was attempt number one. And then I left it for a while. And then when I was 14, I really got into anime, like really got into anime,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly Naruto at the time. And what do you do when you're, a teenager, you have access to a shitty laptop and you love anime? You start making AMVs. Uh,
Oh man, I forgot about
yeah,
AMVs.
yeah, I mean, I try to forget about mine. Um, I mean, they were not bad, but they were again in German. Um, and that was attempt number two. And then I left it for a very long time. That was when I was 14, and then around the time when I was 18, or even 19, I think. Um, Now let me reconstruct this. Uh, I believe Dragon Ball is something you're familiar with, Mr. Pow of the Storm.
Nah, never heard of it. What the hell is that?
Nah, no, obviously, obviously. So Dragon Ball Super was airing,
Uh-huh.
and um, the whole female Super Saiyan thing happened, and people
Mm-hmm.
got upset about that. And I was like, man, why are people so stupid? And then I was like, you know what? You know what? Let me make a fucking Dragon Ball power scaling video because that sounds smart.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and like I think it must have been January 2017, 2018. I'm not sure. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure about the years anymore, but actually I can check out where my first video was. Let me quickly do this so I don't give you the wrong lore.
We got Ocean's
Uh
lore up in here.
yeah, get the fucking lore videos ready.
I
Uh
used to love
where is
those.
it? Lore videos for what?
There was that channel lore, and they did the like they were usually like 2 minute videos that were
Hmm.
animated about the lore of like a certain like gaming franchise, and it was I don't know. I always found
Hmm.
them very enjoyable, but I don't think that they're still around. I don't think that
Hmm.
that type of content survived the algorithm shifts.
Hmm.
But
Wait, let me. Okay, it was January 2018. I uploaded my very first video titled "Did Dragon Ball Super Ruin Power Scaling?" And my lord, it was atrocious. That video is unlisted. I have plans of like making it listed again for like some occasion for
mhm.
like a limited amount of time so people can see how far I've come. But dear God, like,
What was so bad about it?
well, I kind of just started talking.
Hmm.
The editing was very rudimentary because it was the first time I've gotten into like proper editing, not just, clip shows for AMVs. It
Yeah.
wasn't even in 720p because I didn't understand how to export.
Uh,
My mic was, a shitty little headset mic that
mhm.
wasn't, edited or optimized at all. And it was a Dragon Ball power scaling video.
Other than yeah, okay, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, no hate to power scalers, but I definitely not my thing, and
Yeah.
that video kind of shows why it's not my thing. Um, so yeah, I did that, and I got like 10 views in like 2 months, and I was like, damn, we blowing up. Uh,
This is it, man. I'm
yeah,
moving to LA.
PewDiePie, I'm coming. Um, yeah, and after that, I just kind of kept making videos. I eventually moved on
Hmm.
from Dragon Ball Super because obviously Dragon Ball Super moved on from us.
Yeah,
Gone but never forgotten.
that's
Um,
deep.
yeah, and I kept making anime videos and then I was like at 90 subs for a year, and then I made what was it? Black Clover and My Hero
Hmm.
Academia, like the double video on that, and then I just jumped to 5,000 subscribers in like a week because that video just blew the fuck
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah, and ever since then, it's kind of been kind of been how I roll. So that's kind of been my YouTube journey.
Okay. Now do you do it like full time now, other than your other stuff like going to school and the military?
Uh, well, no, I can't do it full time because obviously I still have other stuff going on. And
Uh
of
huh.
course, full time implies that I can live off of it. And in a country like Switzerland, being
Ah,
able to live off of something means making a whole bunch of moolah.
that's true. That's true. Forgot about the cost of living. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think in another country I could probably go full time right now because YouTube
mhm.
has been proven very. I mean, we shouldn't talk money matters, but it has been proven very lucrative in that sense.
Yeah.
And but for Switzerland, it's just is not enough yet. So
Okay.
I would love to go full time eventually. Like it is the, I suppose, end goal
Yeah.
of this entire endeavor. But at the moment, it's still just a pipe dream.
hmm So,
But yeah,
uh,
yeah.
now in the event that unlikely that it doesn't go through and all that stuff. So, like, do you have something that you're planning on doing with the degrees that you're getting, or are you just kind of doing those because it's something that interests you, or?
So the end goal for the degrees would be to become an English teacher.
Uh huh.
Uh, because I just like literature, I like analyzing things, and I like sharing my thoughts. And I guess I like talking.
Yeah.
Uh, which again, complete counter to my whole introvert thing, but
hmm
I didn't choose the way I am. Uh, yeah, no, the end goal will definitely be something in the lines of teaching if YouTube doesn't work out.
That'd be very cool. And being a teacher or something like that would be a good job as like a day job to be a
Hmm.
YouTuber because the hours are very generally consistent.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, of
mean,
course.
now do you guys get like summer break and everything like we do here in the US, or is that
Yeah, of
different?
course, of course. We have
Okay.
actually a lot of breaks.
Okay.
We have more school breaks than most other countries.
Really?
Yeah, I mean we have. I mean, okay. Of course, once you get to universities,
hmm
it goes back to the international module where you just have, winter break and summer break, and they're both very long.
Yeah.
But school breaks are, for example, summer holidays here are only 5 weeks,
Hmm.
but then you have multiple 2 week holidays like dispersed around the year.
Okay. Yeah, here it's like you get like a week for fall break, a week for spring break, and then you get like damn near 3 months for summer break.
Yeah, yeah. That's how it is here at university as well.
Okay. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's just the international module.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's interesting. And we talked about this a little bit too before we started recording, but yeah, no, I'm definitely I completely like could not vibe with you more on the thing of like being an introvert, but like
Hmm.
being I guess outspoken. Like I love doing this podcast or doing YouTube videos or streaming
Hmm.
where like I'm just constantly keeping some talking and blah blah blah, but man, like in a one-on-one conversation I am the most awkward, or shy. Like I hate like new people and all that stuff. It's so intimidating, but it's so weird how it's like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me personally, it's always been kind of a bit of a dichotomy because I don't know how well it comes through like Discord
hmm
and Twitch, but I have a very loud voice. I My voice is loud and very penetrating.
hmm
So people always think I'm someone who's like very approachable and um very talkative. And they're right on one part, I am talkative, but I'm kind of also kind of shy
Yeah.
and kind of an introvert in like a social setting, which doesn't pair well with a voice that essentially immediately makes you the center of attention the moment you forget to whisper.
Right.
Like, no, no joke. If I'm in public transport and I'm talking to someone, I have to basically whisper because
I
it's very loud.
I have like two modes. Like a lot of times when I'm in public, and I'll try to say something to somebody that I'm with or something like that.
Hmm.
Like I'll talk so quiet because like I don't want
Yeah.
I like think my voice is way louder than it actually is. But then other
Mhm.
times I'll try to be like, okay, no, I need to speak up a little bit, and then I'll end up doing like what you're saying, and my voice will just
Yeah.
blast through
No, because
everything.
no, because also the thing is, I for years didn't even realize the way my voice was, and then I kept getting like really bad reactions, like, "Dude, stop yelling," and I'm like, I'm not yelling. I'm talking. And yeah, no, and of course, then there's the other part, which is just like, getting stinky looks in the train or
Hmm.
something. But yeah, so that's always been kind of an issue with me, where people are like, "Oh yeah, he's loud and he talks a lot, so
Hmm.
let's go and, you know, be do extroverted things with him." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh no, people."
I'm usually not too bad. Like what I have a problem with in like real life social settings is like starting a conversation with somebody new. Now,
Mm.
if somebody walks up to me and they ask me a question, I will give them probably more of an answer than they wanted. I guess I'm not shy in that. Well, I don't know. Maybe that is the definition of shy then. Like I don't usually start conversations with people.
Hmm.
But then it's totally different. Like on stream, if I see somebody, and I think there's something about like the internet for me where I feel way less I guess worried about like doing a social faux pas. I'm like,
Hmm.
which doesn't make sense because like I'm on broadcast. Like if I do something
Hmm.
embarrassing, it's there and anybody in the whole world can see it. But anyway, like all that to say, like if somebody new comes in my chat and they like say hi, I'm like, oh hey, what's up? Like that doesn't like make me nervous. But like if I'm just walking down like the hall somewhere or walking down the sidewalk and somebody says oh hey, I'm like
Hmm.
do I just shit my pants right now or do I do it in a few minutes or like
Oh boy, gotta schedule it. Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean, I suppose one aspect of the internet that really helps with that is that in most cases you're not interacting with like a full person. You're
Mhm.
always interacting with um, a diluted set of characteristics that are used for communication. For example, the two of us now are communicating via visuals and via voice, but a lot of like the three-dimensionality of my movements and just the presence of my body and like the space I inhabit, the way my body interacts with like your personal space, and just other stuff like smells and whatnot.
Yeah,
All that is just kind of filtered out, and because of that, a lot of social anxiety just flushes away, I
that's
think.
true.
And it's even more so like over Discord or over Twitter because there it's literally, communication broken down to its most granular bits.
That's true. Yeah, I'm like Oceans over here doesn't know how bad my breath might smell right now, or my chat doesn't know how bad my breath might smell. They don't know that I forgot to put on deodorant this morning. Fuck them.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know that I'm sweaty as hell because I was actually kind of nervous getting onto this podcast.
Uh, see, I guess that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. That
Yeah.
actually makes a lot of sense. Whereas, yeah, like sometimes I'll like I'll like talk to somebody and then I'll walk down and I'll be like, shit, my fly was undone that whole time, or something like that. I'm like, did they notice that or what? Yeah.
Uh,
Um.
yeah, well,
So.
I don't know, like, I want to say I haven't had too many social faux pas yet.
Mhm.
Like, as a kid, obviously, it happens more often, but, like, as an adult, I must say I've been very well adjusted. Go
Right.
me.
Definitely. Um, and so part of your content, and we've been talking a little bit about scheduling and what all you do and everything. You upload pretty consistently for the type of content that you make. Like it takes
Hmm.
research and the videos are relatively long and all that stuff. So, um, I guess just kind of what's the process look like for you? Do you just go like balls deep and just make a video, really quick, or like how do you, what's that look like?
Uh, so I have to preface this with another fun fact about me. I really hate leaving things undone.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, and this is a horrible habit of mine. If I edit, I will 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna edit something in one go. I cannot stand something being
Yeah.
left half edited.
I'm the same
Um,
way.
nice. Because okay, so the process, I guess if I run you through my week,
Uh-huh.
um, Monday to Wednesday, no, not one Wednesday, to Tuesday evening, I script. I research, I write the script, I format it nicely, I make sure I know what I want to say. Then Wednesday mornings, because those are my free mornings, um, I record and I start editing. And I might be halfway done with an edit through Wednesday. Uh, or if that doesn't work for some reason, then Thursday, whatever time I find, I edit and then I upload usually on Thursdays. And then Fridays, I have pretty long uni days, so that's kind of where the day goes. And then weekends is kind of a mix between spending time with, my girlfriend and friends, and also, in the back of my head already brainstorming for the next idea. And then on Monday, the whole spiel starts again.
Okay. I like that. I like that process a lot, and a lot of content creators, myself included, are way more like wing it, but I think that that's way better, especially with how much other shit you got going on. I feel like you have to like allocate time specifically for YouTube, or else it would probably like you would definitely not be uploading very consistently.
Well, I mean, again, you call it consistently, but I think the YouTube algorithm doesn't seem to agree there.
That's true. YouTube's
I mean, I do try once a week, but I mean, for example, next week already is not going to happen because I have to present a paper I've written at uni, and that's going to take a whole lot of work. So then, for example, I have to can the video for that week. And I mean, during the holidays, I wasn't very consistent either because, I had exams and whatnot. But, I do my best.
Video essays are very strange for like the YouTube algorithm, because it's like I feel like they are a perfect example of what the algorithm favors, because they're usually very engaging. Like, once I click on one, like you kind of have to watch the entire video, to get the conclusion, because usually they're analyzing something and giving you an answer to a question of, like, hey, who, like a power skill video, hey, who's the most powerful of all these and whatever. So like you really have to watch the whole thing. But yeah, like they're hard to just pump out like every day or every other day, like the algorithm favors. It's like, so it kind of is a double-edged sword there.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to remain an essay channel forever. I do kind of want to move on as well, because, I don't want to force myself into becoming any type of YouTuber.
Right.
And once I've said everything I want to say, I'm going to move on and, I don't know, start making Let's Plays or whatnot. Because at the end of the day, the reason I started YouTubing and the reason I still do it is because I have something to say or something to do. And it's fun. And, there have been times in the past where I've made a video where I was like, okay, like, I'm not the most passionate about this, but I kind of want to get this done. I do want to have this said, and I need a video for this week, just to have one this week. So I'll just get it done because, people enjoy the content. I, for the most part, enjoy making it. And you're always going to have content you're more passionate about than with other.
Right.
Right.
Some of it's going to be kind of obligatory, like, okay, well, I know that enough of my viewers are going to want this, so hey, here you go, but then there's other ones where you're like, oh my god, I'm so excited to release this. I
mean, the best example on my channel will be the difference between my anime videos and my Monster Hunter videos, because anime videos, I love making them, but they're very much just the content that I also like keep making, because I know doing anything else will kind of alienate a lot of the people who've helped me grow. But then you have the Monster Hunter content, which now already a few more people in my fan base do care about, but at the beginning was like complete Hail Mary.
Yeah.
But it's just so fucking cool and something I absolutely love doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge like biology and paleontology nerd. So, just going out into a video game and being like, okay, let's pretend these creatures are real and let's like bioanalyze them. Like, that's the coolest fucking shit.
No, I think you are doing a good job of like setting yourself up for not being like typecasted, and the main reason for that is like you don't really do like just one type of anime or whatever. You cover like pretty equal coverage of a lot of them. I saw there's like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, like a little bit of everything going on.
Well, okay, I don't know how much some people would agree with that, because I've been called a JoJo tuber as well in the past. Yeah, but I mean, I don't mind it. Some of my best friends now on YouTube are, pure JoJo channels, X-Force and Meti. But I do kind of really, you're definitely right. I do kind of want to try and avoid getting typecasted.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because that's the main thing. It again, like a lot of things with content creation, are a double-edged sword. It's the best way to like get discovered is to be like quote unquote the authority on something. They always say like you want to find something that really nobody else is doing, or at least that nobody else is doing very well, and go do it. Fill that gap, and then people are gonna find you. But yeah, you've either got to pick something that is very sustainable and that you can do for, forever, which there's not very many of those. Or, you've got to be good at, like kind of when that fad fizzles out or that popularity fizzles out, or even if it's just like your enjoyment of that fizzles out, you got to be able to kind of find something that is relevant enough to where people are going to still follow, or it's definitely tricky. It is tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I have spent a lot of time like, thinking about what direction I even want to take this channel in. But honestly, that's the part where I feel like, I'm just gonna wing it. I'm just gonna see what works and what sticks. Because I don't know if he said it, but there's a quote associated with Mr. Beast, where it's success is 90% failing and quitting. That you need to try out a bunch of things and see what works. And when you realize something doesn't work, abandon it in time. Don't try to force something that you don't enjoy fully and that other people will not support you for.
Yeah. No,
and that's really something I've kind of taken to heart. I've tried out I don't want to say I'm a huge, like, I have a huge variety of content, but I have tried a lot of different stuff, and I have abandoned a lot of video concepts in the past. So, it's all about like finding what works, what doesn't. Like, it's a back and forth between your personal desire as a creator and your audience.
Because the cool thing about having a decent sized audience like you do, is when you try something, you'll know pretty quickly how it was received. Having a small channel, you upload a certain video and it doesn't do well, you're like, I don't know, like, is it because this video sucked, or is it because like, it just didn't have the chance to get to people? But like, you can definitely like upload a video and then look at it a week later and be like, okay, this got, way more or way less views than average, and kind of be like, okay, and of course analytics are a pretty neat thing to see exactly where your views are coming from and all that. So that's always good too. But so were there anything like, I guess, what, and this could be more so related to that first time when you were making, German sketch comedy or this go around, like, was what kind of made you be like, all right, this is something I want to do, or this is something I can do, what made you make that leap of faith to try it out?
Well, the first time around, when I was, that's a wee little lad, there it was just watching other YouTubers, and there was one YouTube channel in Germany, but I don't even know if they still exist. They were called what roughly translates to The Outsiders.
Okay.
And they were, sketch comedy, stuff I'd cringe at nowadays, but at the time it was just really interesting to see like people putting their all into that kind of like content. And I was like, as you go through puberty and through like your youth, there's always this sense of, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, what is my vocation? The thing I'm here to do on this earth or whatnot. And obviously, when you're 11, you don't think about it that deeply. But I think what really compelled me towards YouTube and content creation was just the admiration I had in general for people who do content creation. And also in a way, just the jealousy as well. Like, as bad as it sounds, like just the feeling of, I want that. Like, I want to be in a position where I can, just talk about my thoughts regarding an anime, or where I can upload a gameplay video and actually like receive good feedback on it, receive support on it, where I can, go on podcasts and talk about my crazy little country that I live in. Just the lifestyle has always appealed to me. And I had things that I wanted to say and to do with like, editing and voicing and whatnot. So yeah, I suppose in short, the answer is just I admired what content creators could do and I wanted to join in.
Okay. And I know that you had talked, I believe it was before we started really filming, but that you did a little bit of theater and all that stuff in school. So I guess when or how, being pretty introverted, what, and I don't know if it was YouTube that did that for you or if it was theater or whatever, but what kind of made you be like, okay, never mind. I'm introverted, but I like being on stage or, being kind of the focus point or whatever.
Well, I suppose I should start with theater then, because theater I actually started for a very shallow reason.
Uh-huh. Was it a girl?
So there was this, yeah, so there was this girl. Um,
Classic.
yeah, and didn't last long, but
Uh-huh.
I got into theater and it was a lot of fun, and then I got casted as a main role, and I was like, all right, seems like, validation, seems like I can do something with that. And all my life, at school and everything, I've always been good at presenting, like doing presentations. Uh, so when I started like considering YouTubing, I just kind of thought, okay, it's like basically a pre-recorded presentation.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not really anything I'm not used to. And the fact that there aren't, 30, 50 people watching me at the same time, I can't see their eyes, I can't see, the guy in the back drawing on his piece of paper or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that helped there as well. But in general, I suppose at the end of the day, if I really had to bring it down to like a central point, it's just I've always liked sharing knowledge and thoughts that I have with people. And my social anxieties were not enough to stop me from doing that, especially not in the virtual space.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. And hey, there's no shame at all in getting into theater for girls. Literally, I listened to this interview with Bryan Cranston, the main guy from
Hmm.
Breaking Bad, and
Yeah.
basically that's how he got into acting. Like he was going to college for something else. I forget what it was,
Hmm.
but totally unrelated to being an actor. And anyway, he had to take like an art elective, and he basically said that he signed up for theater instead of like art or music or something.
Hmm.
And his reasoning was that a lot of the people a lot of the people in theater are homosexual, and he was like, I can get in there and I'll be one of the few straight guys, so all the girl like I'll have a better chance with the girls, and,
Aw.
and I'm like, and then he got in there and he was just like, oh well, okay, I'm actually good at this, and now
Hmm.
he is Walter White. But yeah,
Well, he's a fantastic actor.
he is it's kind of, I'm like, how do you go your whole life with not realizing that you have that talent, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's definitely wild.
Well, I mean, you can go, your preconceived notions about yourself are always a bit iffy. I mean,
Hmm.
I thought my voice was the worst thing ever for years, and I thought it was so annoying and grating. And that's also one of the things I was worried about when I started recording. But
Hmm.
again, it was something I was like, okay, whatever, I'll deal with it. And now I get people who are like, oh God, his voice is so sexy, and I want an ASMR. And I'm like, are you guys crazy? But okay.
I think there's this natural thing, being in the US, like when you hear accents, especially accents that aren't just like British or Australian, ones that are like very easily identifiable.
Hmm.
I think we as Americans are very intrigued. Like, I know when I heard it, I was kind of like, where exactly is this accent from? Like, I know it's not British. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I think that's a little bit of it, definitely.
I mean, maybe. I mean, again, I've never really considered my accent to be anything too
Hmm.
particular. Again, because it's not a defined accent. It's literally just, six languages trying to make sure that they're the ones who get the pronunciation.
That's true.
So, yeah, I mean, I make a lot of, I mean, if I'm just left to speaking for like an hour or so, as I am on this podcast, that will be a lot of slip ups, a lot of linguistic slip ups, just because there's just so much like stuff
Hmm.
stored where it's like, okay, next word, next word. Oh shit, that was Spanish. Oh shit, that was Turkish. Oh no. So,
You ever find
it just tends
yourself
to.
like melding the accents together? They're kind of like, oh, you said that word very French or something.
Yes, yes, that happens to me so much. It's the worst example of it is if I have to say a word in German while speaking English.
Uh,
So, do you watch JoJo?
I haven't really watched JoJo. No.
Okay, so they have stands, right?
Uh
And
huh.
they're all named after stuff. And for one of my voice acting gigs, I had to voice a character whose stand was Kraftwerk, which is a German band. So I speak in English up until that point, and then I say Kraftwerk, and then suddenly my accent becomes very German. not this extreme, but just automatically
Yeah.
my accent switches into German because my brain switches into German mode. And I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's annoying sometimes, especially at the time when I was still trying to get like majorly into voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it tripped me up so much.
I have this thing that I'm really glad has not happened during the course of this podcast, but I had this thing where sometimes when I hear people with certain accents and
You
I'm
copy
I
them?
copy them. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think honestly like your accent is unique enough. My brain is like, nah, don't even try it. Like,
Aw.
like
Oh, I'm unique.
like whereas if somebody's just really really like
British.
British or even hell like just American dialects, like if somebody's really really hillbilly, and I can say that coming from Tennessee, like definitely, I don't sound very like Tennessee-ish, but if I talk to somebody who like really does, I will most certainly like I'll practically spit dip, in the middle of the conversation, like yeah. I
You
so
be you be getting that snarl
yeah,
in that kid?
e-
Yeah.
exactly. Well, that's all that I really had as far as questions for you. Do you have anything you would like to share? Any advice to some content creators? Any words from Switzerland to the U.S.? This is your chance to speak on behalf of your country.
Well, let's start with the content creator question.
You're like, this sounds a little bit safer. Let's knock that out.
Yeah, but before I incite, global turmoil. Well, as for content creators, honestly, just if anyone watching feels that they would like to do content creation, just do it. Like it's such a cliche advice, but just do it because you will never know if you like it unless you do it. And even if you hate it, even if you make a video and you're like, "Oh my God, this was awful. I hated what I did." You're going to have learned something about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very valuable information because a lot of people do not know themselves very well. You know, a lot of us just kind of go through life and we have friends. We define ourselves by the friends we have and the shows we like and, the politicians we back and whatnot. But very few times, very rarely do people like sit back and take a look at what do I actually like doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is something that actually fulfills me? And I can say that because that's really how I felt before I found content creation. Because I mean, I was I was like a year into psychology, and I had taken that because I thought that was what I wanted, but I was pretty miserable in there. And I started doing content, and then after like I want to say 2 or 3 videos, I was like, hold on a moment, I love this.
Yeah.
This is genuinely what I want to do with my life. So if you have any sort of that sort of feelings, dear viewers at home, just go for it. You will learn a lot about yourself, and in worst case scenario, you'll just have learned that you hate editing and voicing. Best case scenario, you will have found a new hobby, a new something to, fulfill you and take you away from the arduousness of your day job or whatnot.
Okay.
So yeah, I like honestly, the best type of advice is just
Just do
go
it.
for it. Yeah. Just do it. Yeah. In terms of Switzerland, I mean, I don't know. Oh yeah, actually, one thing that's definitely interesting to discuss is our political system
Okay.
because so in the US you have to register to vote, right?
Correct.
And you vote on the people and the people only. Like you only vote on like the people in the parliament and the candidates for the presidency, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We here in Switzerland have something that is described as direct democracy, which means that we vote on every single legislative change made in our country. That includes law changes, that includes changes to taxes, that includes changes to budgeting. We vote on everything.
Huh.
We have elections, I suppose you could call them, every like month.
Wow.
And you don't have to be registered to vote, you just have to be Swiss. And you can vote from home, you can vote via the post. It's super easy, and it's honestly one of the best things about this country.
That is really cool because, yeah, a lot of times, like, We just wake up and you get on your phone and you're like, oh, well, there's this law now. We vote to elect the lawmakers and the people who decide that, but yeah, then they take it from there. That is very interesting.
No, it's very extreme. I mean, the most famous example is that hypothetically, it is possible in Switzerland for the public to democratically vote to abolish democracy.
That's kind of a mind fuck.
Yeah, but it is possible. Our constitution allows it. Because every single decision, no matter how it is votable by the public. Because the way it works is that also laws and law changes are suggested by the public in a lot of cases. You have initiatives and all that. And once you get a certain amount of signatures, you can bring it in front of the public and people will vote. And if they vote yes, the state has to do it. So, for example, and obviously there are different levels for it. So, for example, if I want to make yogurt illegal, for like a hypothetical, if I wanted to make it illegal in only my hometown, I would only need 5,000 signatures, and then people would vote on it. Then it's 10,000 if I want to do it in my county, in like my province or state, you could call it. And 100,000 if I wanted to have it be voted nationally.
Wow.
And if they say yes, that's it. The government has to go through with it.
I'm just imagining you blowing up on YouTube, like, and truthfully, I'm going to use that term generous. Let's just say 1 million subscribers. That's big, but in today's day and age, it's not even unattainable. So let's just say you got 1 million subscribers. What are the odds that maybe enough of them are Swiss, like live in Switzerland? You could have this following and be like, all right, guys, fuck yogurt. Yogurt is illegal now. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, it would basically be possible. I mean, of course, the whole thing about it is that it's not. I basically made a very simplified example because there are other factors in it. For example, when something like that happens, prior to the voting, I believe 2.5 weeks before, every single citizen gets an envelope via post from the government with a little booklet summarizing everything about the new law, every pro, every con, and every consequence that can be predicted. You get statistics, you get numbers, you get expert opinions. You even, if the law is an important thing, you even get a copy of our constitution and the law booklet with highlighted passages that are relevant to it, so that willingly you could read yourself completely into it. And you also get like a recommendation from the government where they're like, okay, look, yogurt's kind of cool, please don't ban it. So, there are still mitigating factors, and in extreme situations, the state can kind of fuck around with that.
So they got like a veto?
It's not quite a veto. It's more like they just postpone doing it until people forget. Because, for example, in 2012, our extreme right-wing party managed to get an initiative into the public that essentially limited the amount of people who could enter the country every year. And that by itself was already pretty extreme. But the thing that made this even more atrocious was the fact that by doing that, immediately all our bilateral contracts with the European Union would be null. So we'd be isolated. All trade agreements, everything would just be cut. So it was something that absolutely could not pass. Problem was, the voting weekend was during the holidays, and the only people that voted were people there were still people all around the country that voted, but the majority of people who voted were from a region called Appenzell, which is the mountains, which is where all the conservative and right-wing people live. And so what we got is that this incredibly detrimental initiative passed because just only the utmost extremist factions went to vote and everyone else kind of forgot about it. And that would have been disaster for Switzerland. So what the government did, they just postponed it for years, and now this year we're voting on it again. Yeah, a kind of like a for realsies
Mm-hmm.
situation. Yeah. So the government can take charge and be like, look, guys, don't be stupid. But it very rarely does. It
Okay.
very rarely does. Like, this
Only.
is a unique case in the last, like, I think 50 years.
Okay. That's
I mean,
wild.
if you want another fun anecdote, we also in the 60s voted whether or not Switzerland should build a nuke.
Build a nuke, like just to
Yes.
keep on standby or something, or
Yes. They voted for it, and they voted yes. And the Swiss government bought uranium, but they never built a nuke. They just left the uranium um, essentially in a deposit, and then gave it back to Russia, like in
they're
2011.
like, hey, we still got the receipt for this. Like, we haven't even taken it
Yeah,
out of the box. Like, I mean, come on, be cool.
exactly. No, it's so stupid.
Oh, what?
But yeah,
You're only gonna give me in-store credit? I gotta buy more shit from Russia? Oh, this is bullshit.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of a constant in Switzerland. That Switzerland thinks it's more important than it really is, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we need a nuke. It's like we're tiny little speck.
I mean,
Uh,
but just imagine,
yeah.
like, I'm thinking, here from America, like, we don't really think about Switzerland, because you guys are so much smaller. But I mean, if you guys had a nuke, I think we would think we would definitely be like, all right, hey, all right, let's be nice to Switzerland there. you know,
Well, okay, you guys have to be nice to us anyways because we're where all the money is stored.
that's true.
Like, yeah, we have all the gold.
That's true.
Um, yeah, and I mean, oh, actually, another thing that might be interesting for you and your American viewers is the way guns work here in
Ah, I
Switzerland.
didn't even think about that. Yes, please.
Because we have the highest number of guns per thousand citizens, way higher than even the US.
Wow.
But as I said, I don't know if this was on stream or before, we haven't had a terrorist attack since the 70s, and there was only one. We have never had a shooting, never had, a school shooting, especially not.
Mm-hmm.
And we're one of the most peaceful countries on earth. And often, like, those two facts, our high distribution of guns and our peaceful state is often used to say, like, oh, gun control isn't necessary or whatnot, which is kind of a wrong assessment.
Uh huh.
Because the way guns work here in Switzerland is, as I mentioned before, military service is mandatory
Yeah.
for every Swiss male. That means every Swiss male gets a gun. And that's how so many guns get into the public, because obviously you take males,
Mm-hmm.
half the population, you take Swiss, which is still roughly also half the population. That makes a quarter of everyone has a gun at home. But gun laws are still relatively strict in the sense that while you can own a gun, what you can never ever own is ammunition.
Huh.
Yeah, because the way it works is you always get given a certain amount of ammunition for the exact tasks that you need. Be it a shooting range, be it hunting, be it, military training. And they are counted. And if there is even a single discrepancy between the number of bullets you were issued and the number of bullets fired under,
Mm-hmm.
supervision, you have a federal investigation on your
Oh
ass.
my God.
That is very serious, yeah. Um, but also, gun culture here is still very much alive and kicking. I mean, we literally have a holiday that's dedicated to going to shooting ranges and getting better at shooting.
That's so cool. And because I was wondering, I'm like, yeah, like what do you think, or what makes you guys able to maintain that kind of peace, with everybody? I mean, with there being so many guns, per person there. That's so wild.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole idea of Switzerland is that, and this is, you said you're not very much into history, right?
Right.
Yeah, so a little lesson. Switzerland was a country that was formed out of mercenaries.
Badass.
Yeah, we were basically a bunch of mercenaries that came together to form a mercenary nation to organize our services better. And this is, for example, why, and we were considered the best mercenaries in the world back in the Middle Ages.
hmm
This is why, for example, still the Pope is guarded by the Swiss Guard.
Hmm.
That's still a remnant from that time. And so a lot of these cultures surrounding guns and, uh, you know, military and stuff are still very ingrained in our society. And for example, up until the now let me get this right, 70s, 70s, I think. I hope they don't revoke my Swiss citizenship. But up until the 1970s, our national adage was Helvetia, which is our guardian goddess. Helvetia needs no army, for each of her subjects is a warrior.
That is badass.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, we have so many fucking all our mythology is about like wars that we've waged and won, they say, when, historically it's not quite as rosy. We've actually lost a lot. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean there's the famous Battle of Marignano, which is at the border to Italy, I believe, where there's a very famous Swiss like legend of victory where this is Middle Ages, so the way war worked back then is you would have a front row of like pikes, with spears, to make sure no one could get in and kill all your guys behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they were fighting, I think it was some Italian city-state, the Swiss were completely lost because they couldn't get past this fucking line of spikes. And one soldier of the name of Winkelried then allegedly took as many spikes as he could with his hands, standing in front of the enemy, and sunk them into his own gut. Oh. And then said, "May my blood carve out the path to victory." Because obviously they couldn't get the pikes out of him in time, so the lads could just storm into their ranks and kill them.
This sounds like straight out of an action movie shit, which is awesome.
Yeah, and because of that, every Swiss town has a street or a road or a path called Winkelried, because he carved our path.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that is the legend. The actual reality is actually a lot less interesting.
I like the legend.
Yeah, because the reality is Italian city-states were very rich. And because of that, they invested in plate armor, knights. Whereas the Swiss were very similar to the German Landsknechte, which would wear like leather and shirts and stuff like that. The Battle of Marignano happened in August, when it was 35 degrees. So the Italians just cooked in their armors and couldn't fight. Damn. But obviously people prefer the legend.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there's a lot of things that we learn in the U.S. history-wise that I wholeheartedly believe are not actually how it went down, but they were like so far back that that there's really no telling what exactly happened. But I think some of it, or rather, I think some of the stuff that they teach in school is not how it actually went. I think there is part of it is USA #1, taught in school and all that, but at least you guys actually call them legends. Here we just kind of grow up and then we're like, wait, this is not how that actually happened, and then we realize that as adults. But yeah. But yeah.
Well, I mean, also here it just had a longer time to like gestate as a legend, because obviously we have a lot of a longer history than the Americans have. Because I mean, America is 300 years old, right?
That's true. Yeah. Not even. Yeah.
Yeah. My community that I live here in, or our town, I should say, this year is celebrating its 975th anniversary.
Holy Jesus.
Yeah. The high school I went to, which was a monastery, that monastery was built in 1227.
Oh my God. We really are babies over here.
Well, I mean, you are the new world.
Yeah.
So makes sense.
That's true.
I mean, it's also funny because some Swiss like city names actually exist in the US, from what I've heard, as like, New Aargau, New Zurich, and stuff like that.
I've definitely heard New Zurich for sure.
Yeah, because Zurich is the city I go in for uni.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I had no idea. I just assumed, Zurich was the name of some football player or something,
No. Zurich is the biggest city in Switzerland at 1 million inhabitants. So a seventh of the population.
Wow. Well, damn, dude. I feel about 40 times more educated throughout the course of this. Just there are so many things that I had no idea and all that. So damn, I appreciate you bringing this wealth of culture to this podcast.
Well, no problem. I really like talking about Switzerland because I've realized that many people really don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not, we're not such a great country at the end. We still have a lot of racism and a lot of like social injustices. We're very regressive. We actually voted last month on whether or not homophobia should be counted as a hate crime. So, it's still very regressive in some areas, but it's such a novel and interesting place, especially, to people like you who've never heard or really investigated it much. So I really love sharing about it. So I'm really grateful that I get the opportunity to share it with you and, your lovely viewers at home.
Hey guys, how's it hanging, everybody? This is StormPow, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode of StormPod because I had a blast talking to Oceaniz. This was a really great interview. There were a lot of things that happened here that I was not expecting from him. I'd planned on talking a lot about his YouTube career, but really I ended up discovering that Switzerland was such an interesting place for me to talk about. That was really surprising how much I enjoyed talking with him about that as well. And there were a lot of things about the discussion with his YouTube career that I was not expecting and that I really enjoyed learning. And so Oceaniz has been a guy that I've recently discovered here, and overall it's been a pleasure getting to know him here pretty quickly after I discovered him. And please go check his content out. There will be links for his stuff here in the description as well below. But again, he's a great content creator. Go check him out. He is blowing up right now. So by the time you're watching this video, he may be bigger than he is right now. So maybe you've already heard of him by now. But please go check him out and support him. And other than that, also be sure to subscribe or follow to the podcast on the platform that you most commonly enjoy it on, whether that is YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever. Also, please know that we do stream this live every single week at twitch.tv/thestormpow. So if you want to get an even better podcast experience, go check us out live. And we do a pre and a post show where we interact with the audience live. Plus, you get to enjoy the episode a little bit sooner than everybody else. So that's all a good incentive. So go check it out. But again, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a nice day, and goodbye. All the music used in this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod. Be sure to check out his royalty-free music at incompetech.com.